Hi, this is Pastor Bill, and I want to thank you for watching our Church Unlimited YouTube channel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out churchunlimited.com while you're at it. And if you're anywhere near one of our campuses, come check us out this weekend. Thanks for watching.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I just want to introduce myself real quick. I am Pastor Will Lewis from BRAZOS Fellowship in College Station, Texas. And and if you don't know about us and our church, you need to, because we exist because of what God did through you guys about 14 years ago. We are one of your 100 church plants that you guys committed to start. And I want to talk a little bit more about that into the message, but your pastor, Bill, and Jessica have been dear friends of my wife, Leslie, and I for about 25 years, for a very, very long time. And I've got a really funny story I want to tell you a little bit later about something that happened to he and I way back when we were seminary students. But I'm just so privileged, so honored to be here today with all of you and all of the campuses here at Church Unlimited. What an amazing blessing to be able to be here today. When Bill asked me to come and speak, I was so honored to get to be here today. So today, what I'd like to talk to you about is to be able to prepare for what is next. As we start a new year, embarking on 2019, we all have something next in front of us. And I want to talk to you a little bit about how to prepare for that, because one of the worst things to hear as a pastor, even maybe as a parent, is to see somebody struggling through something and them to say to you, I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't prepare properly for this. And we're going to talk about how to do that and what does Scripture say about how to prepare. Now, I want you to take a minute just to think about what is that big next thing for you. Maybe the big next thing for you is graduation. You're about to graduate, and maybe it's starting college. That's a whole new chapter, brand new stresses, new responsibilities, all those kinds of things. Maybe it's graduating from college and starting your first real job, and you're going to have to self-support. You're going to have personal viability and have to be able to live on what you make, and that's a big deal. Maybe the next big step for you is getting married and moving into a marriage for the very first time, and this is a big step for a lot of people. Maybe it's having a child. Maybe it's having a baby. Some of you have a baby, or you just had a baby and you're still trying to adjust to this big next thing that's happened in your life. Or maybe you're having another baby. And having another baby can mean a lot of different things depending on how many babies you already have, okay? I noticed when we went from 1 to 2, that was a big deal. That was a really big adjustment. But being just Leslie and I, going from 2 to 3, that was a whole different arena, because now we're outnumbered and you know what I mean? It's a whole nother level of challenges that come with that. Maybe the next thing for you is to be an empty nester. Maybe all these little children that you've been raising, they're getting older and older, and they're about to be up and out of the house, and you're going, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? This is going to be weird. This is going to be really boring. It's just the two of us, so what are we going to do? And maybe the next thing is retirement. Maybe it's not like happening yet, but you can tell it's coming. It's the next big thing. And are you prepared for these next big things? There's two emotions that almost always come to us as we get ready to embark on the next big thing. The first one is excitement. It's exciting because it's new, it's fresh, it's uncharted territory, never been there, never done that before. You may know people that did that. You have been somewhat educated on it. Maybe you've even read books on what to expect, but it's different when you have to do it yourself. So you're excited. The other thing is you're stressed. You're stressed, and here's part of the reason why we're stressed about what's next. Because whatever is next means it's a transition in your life. And transitions inherently have within them change. And anytime we go through change, it is stressful. It's been said, the only one who truly loves change is a dirty diapered baby, okay? Babies like to be changed. Everybody else is like, I'd really rather not. be changed. I mean, very few changes in your life have no stress at all. As a matter of fact, I would say if you had a change that had no stress, you probably didn't change that much, okay? It probably didn't force you to change your behavior or your habits very much. Because when we change a lot, it's really stressful. So the question I want to have guide the rest of our time together this morning is asking this question, simply asking, are there things that we can do right now that can prepare us for what's next? And the answer is yes. But there's two misconceptions about what is about to happen next for most people that we fall into that mess us up. Let me talk about what those two things are. The first one is that we tend to think that whatever that next season of life is, whatever that next thing is that we're about to go into, that somehow we're going to magically transform into a whole different guy or whole different girl, whole different woman, whole different man. We're going to be a completely different person. You know I'm being promiscuous and crazy now, but when I get married, I'm going to settle down and I won't ever do any of these things, all right? I know I'm being irresponsible now, but when I finally graduate and I get into a job, I'm going to be responsible and live on a budget, and I'm going to, here's the thing that I have found. Is that whoever you are right now, if you don't radically work on changing that guy or that girl, guess what? Those people, that person, that you, goes with you wherever you go. Your same spending habits, your same relational habits, your same ethics and morality, your same strengths and weaknesses go with you into the next season. So the way you are right now becomes a pretty good predictor of how you're going to be then. And many times people think, oh, no. A new view and a new do makes a new you. And no, it doesn't. You're the same old girl, same old guy that goes into the new situation. You just got a new situation now. You got a new relationship or a new job but it's the same you. You got to do hard work on you if you want the new season to be different than this one. And this is what I want to talk to you about today. The other misconception is this. It's simply the idea that there is no correlation between knowing what's next and being prepared for what's next. You follow me on that? A lot of people can tell you what's next. Oh, I can tell you, I know what's next, what's about to happen next. That does not mean you're prepared for it. That does not mean that you're ready to do well in that next season of life. There is a completely different set of skills to know what the right thing to do is and to actually do the right thing. Do you follow me? There is a whole different set of skills to say, man, I'm ready and excited to walk down the center aisle of a church and say I do to this woman or to this guy, that I'm ready to get married. That is a really different set of skills than to be able to actually do the I do's, to be prepared, someone who's been preparing themselves to be loyal and exclusive with one person. That's a different thing, really different. And we got a lot of people that think, oh, no, I'm going to be one guy here, but once I get married, no, I'm going to be a completely different guy. And I'm telling you, that's not how it works. I've seen it over and over, and I'm sure the pastors here at Church Unlimited say the same thing, that there is some hard work that needs to happen right now, right here, January 2019, if you want the rest of this year and going forward to be different and to have different results in your life. And so here's what I want to do. And before we go any further, I want to have James, the brother of Jesus, to weigh in on this conversation what we're having. Weigh in on this idea, because James has some beautifully and powerful, insightful things to say. And before I jump into that, let me just talk about James for a second. This is such a gift that God gave us, that we have this document in the New Testament that has been written by the brother of Jesus. Now think about this for a second. This, I still believe, historically speaking, is probably one of the greatest pieces of evidence for the proof that Jesus was and is who he says he was. The Son of God, the risen, almighty Messiah, the Son of the living God, absolutely. Think about this for a second. You might, if you decided you wanted to try to fool people into believing you're the Messiah, you might be able to fool a few people that are sort of distant, out there on the fringes of your life. But think about this. What would it take to fool your own brother or sister, all right, into believing you're the Messiah? They'd be like, oh, yeah, dream on. I've seen your dirty underwear on the floor. I know you're not the Messiah. And what's interesting, even biblical historians would say, James was really hesitant to believe. He thought Jesus was kind of crazy most of his ministry until he saw his brother resurrected. He watched him crucified, brutally beaten to death on a cross, died, no heartbeat, gone, put in the ground, and 3 days later, completely healed, glorified body. You are the Messiah. He gave the rest of his life, not only to following his brother, but believing with all of his heart that his brother was his Lord and Savior. Think about that. What would it take to convince somebody like that? I mean, those people are just like us. They just lived at a different time. What would it take to convince you? And that's where James was. This is the guy who's writing the words we're about to read. And what's beautiful is I want us to jump sort of to the end of this passage we're going to look at today. And I want to look at the promise first so you know here's why we're talking about this. There's a huge payoff at the end. And then we're going to talk about how do you get there. So here's what James is saying. If you will prepare for whatever is next the way I'm telling you, here's what's going to happen. Verse 25, he says this. He says that you will be blessed in what you do. You will be blessed in what you do. That if you will prepare the way I'm telling you to, this is a roadmap to success for you personally, okay? So what are we to do, James, okay? How do we get started? So let's back up the tape. All right, back up to about verse 22, okay? Here's what James says in verse 22. He begins like this. He says, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Now let's stop there with that period. He's saying, do not merely listen to the word, because back in his day, nobody had a copy of the word. Nobody had a copy of the Bible like you and I have today. What a gift we have. If you wanted to hear God's word, you had to come together as a congregation, and somebody read the fragments, the scraps, the pieces of documents that they had. It wasn't even canonized yet, from people who were eyewitness testimony of Jesus. That I sat under him. I saw the miracle. I watched him be resurrected. I saw. And they read from those people's writing. And when they would come together, all they had was what they heard. And he's saying, don't you merely just listen and so deceive yourselves. James is pointing to something that happened in the first century Christians that still happens today. And that is this. We tend to give ourselves credit for just showing up, for just being in the room and listening. And that's a good thing. I don't want to completely discredit it. But he's saying that's not the point. Sometimes we come together and we say, wow, that was so good. Oh my gosh, it was so convicting. Man, it was so good. It was so good. I took all these notes, copious notes. Look, pages of notes. That's wonderful. Still not the point. That's great. Oh, I went home and people were impressed with how well I paid attention and look at all this stuff. Still not the point. So what's the point, James? He goes on to say this in verse 22. He says, do not be merely listen to the word so deceived. Do what it says. This is beautiful, powerful application. James is saying, if you want to have success in whatever's next, if you want to be prepared for whatever's about to come next, do not merely listen to the word. Don't think that just showing up in your small group, your life group, at church on the weekend is enough. It's doing it. One of the greatest things you could do going into this new year is to say, every sermon I listen to, before I start I'm going to say, God, what part of this I need to go do right now? And do it. And before, every time you crack open your Bible, God, show me what part of that applies to me and I need to do it now. When you go to your small group, your Bible say, what part of this I need to apply today, right now? Powerful. You want the roadmap to success personally, behaviorally, Spiritually, this is how you get there. James is saying it's not complicated. There's just that not many people are willing to do it. They listen. They listen, and that's it. I love this because the next part, he launches into this amazing illustration. He says, anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says, and I think he gives us maybe arguably one of the best illustrations in all the New Testament is what happens next. This is what James says. He says, so if you just listen and don't do what it says, it's like someone, this is verse 23, like someone who looks at his face in the mirror. I mean, imagine this for a minute. Looks at his face in the mirror, and after looking at himself, goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. You don't do that, do you? I don't do that. I'm going to be honest. And I woke up this morning at the hotel, which it was awesome. The hotel was great. But I looked horrible, okay? I don't look that much better now, but I was like, I looked at myself over the sink, in the mirror, and I went, okay, I need to not start at the sink. I need to start in the shower. This is how bad it is, okay? I need to start that far back and just start all over and scrub everything and try again, okay? Because it's that bad. So here's what he's talking about, and this was true in the first century. It's true for now. When you look in a mirror requires a response, doesn't it? When you look in the mirror, especially first thing in the morning, you go, whoa, there's some adjustments that need to be made here. Hair needs to be fixed. Maybe, ladies, apply a little makeup. We need to pull the hair back. It's a hot day, today. Put on a different outfit. Isn't it true that some of you have made it all the way to the door? You're about to leave to go to work or somewhere, and there's another little mirror right there, and you go, ooh, I think I'm going to try again real quick. I'm going to go change. I may be a little bit late, but it'll be worth it because I need to try. This doesn't work, okay? I'm realizing this right now, okay? But the mirror, there's some accountability. Every time, tomorrow morning when you wake up, you look in the mirror, immediately there's some conviction that happens, right? And the conviction causes you to act. You can't look at that and go, I'm cool with that, right? Now, here's the funny. In the real world, the mirror, we don't get credit for just looking at the mirror. Like if you just woke up, looked in the mirror, and went to work, did nothing, right? Your boss, whoever he or she is, they would say, wait, you're not going in talking to clients and customers looking like that? Oh my gosh. But you might tell them, well, I looked in the mirror, and they probably mutter back, well, you should have done something about it, right? You didn't look. Looking in the mirror, you don't get credit for looking in the mirror. You need to respond to what you see in the mirror. And here's the parallel that James is making. Just like we all respond to what we see in the mirror, so we should respond behaviorally to what we see in God's word, what we hear, what we see, when we read it, when we study it, when we have it taught to us. It ought to always end in a response. It should always end in an application of some sort. If it's not changing your life and it's only just filling your head with more knowledge, you're missing the point. Which is easier, to learn more about loving your neighbor or actually loving your neighbor, right? Loving is much more challenging, and that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where life change really happens. It's powerful when we see this at work around us, and our tendency is to see something in ourselves but do nothing. To see something and do nothing. We think, oh, well, this is something I'm going to deal with later. Or for many of us, it is, we know far more than we do. Isn't it true? I mean, almost in every area of life. Isn't it true that, like even in health and fitness, don't most of us know way more than we apply in our life? Like, that's so true. I mean, I bet one of your New Year's resolutions has something to do with your health and fitness. You already know what you ought to be doing. The trick is getting yourself to actually do it. Get some accountability, setting some reminders on your phone, whatever it takes to get you moving in the right direction. But it's the doing that James is saying is where the real power is. And he says this in verse 25. He says, but whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom. Now, let me talk about this for a second. Intently literally means to stop, to stoop down, and to closely examine something. Now, back then, sometimes if you wanted to see your reflection, you had to do it in a pool of water or in a basin of water or maybe even in a stream or something to see what you look. So you stoop down and you look. You look into God's word and you see where there is something that needs to be adjusted. Where is this, based on what God says and how I'm behaving, should I make some tweaks, some adjustments to make this look more in alignment with what he's asking me to do? This is what he's saying, to stop, intently look into the perfect law. What is the perfect law? There's actually been some theological debate about exactly what is James talking about here. Well, knowing that he is not only a follower of Jesus, but the brother of Jesus, it had to come back to the teaching of Jesus. And when Jesus was asked, what are the most important commandments? He says, love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. And what's interesting is that right before the crucifixion, in John chapter 13, verse 34 and 35, Jesus was there with his followers, and he says, here's a new command that I give unto you. It's almost as though Jesus is saying, let me boil all this down to one command. I gave you two, but let me give you one. I want you to love one another as I have loved you, so you must. This is the command. This is not like optional. If you get around to it, maybe you do it. He says, you must love one another as I have loved you. And by this, all people, all ethnos is the word, all ethnicities, all people in the world will know that you are my disciples. A word that means follower, pupil, learner. You are my follower if you love one another. To love God and to love other people the way Jesus loved you. Whew. There is your mirror. Stop and look into God's word. And really, the whole rest of the imperatives of the New Testament is the Apostle Paul and others taking this teaching of Jesus and showing us how to apply it in our life in all the different areas of our life. And it's simply saying, are you willing to apply this? He's saying it's time to stop. And I have been so transformed personally by this challenging teaching in my own life. And really, the thing that's so beautiful about this little promise of the statement here is the fact that he says that it gives freedom. This looking intently into the perfect law that gives freedom. In other words, if you will apply this, that in time it becomes liberating to you and I. Liberating in our life. It doesn't start off, let me tell you this, it doesn't start off liberating. Let me give you an example. In my own life, I was taught by my dad when I was young that when I started earning money, the first thing I need to do is give. First percentage, the first and best goes to God. The first tithe, the first 10%. That's tough, especially when you're young, when you're giving away 10% of your money. It doesn't feel liberating. Let me just tell you, it doesn't feel very freeing. It feels like, oh my gosh, I worked hard for this and I'm just giving it away, all right? It's just, this is hard. And what's crazy, he says, give and then save a percentage and then live on the rest. Give, save, live on the rest. Give, save, live on the rest. When Leslie and I got married, we committed to do this. And after 25 years of doing this together, I can honestly tell you today, I am financially free. I am in an amazing place, not because I'm a genius with money, but because I applied this simple biblical truth. Give, save, live on the rest. Have margin in your life. Have a budget that allows you to be able to give, save, and live on the rest. That means you can't consume all that you make. That's the American way, right? If you make more, live on more. And just keep consuming as long as you keep making. But that's unwise. That's not freeing. That's how to get into bondage, not freedom. And what's amazing is that you guys as a church did that years and years ago. You still do that, are so generous in how you give. And you gave away to help start BRAZOS Fellowship. You gave to help plant the seed. And let me tell you, 14 years later, I know your mission statement around here is to take as many people to heaven, period. And I love that. And I want you to know that is spreading even into the Bryan College Station area. To date, we have seen roughly 5,000 people say yes to Jesus, become followers of Jesus Christ, because you guys planted a seed. Thank you. It's the Lord Jesus, his Holy Spirit working through his people, but you guys were obedient to do that. That's wonderful. It made all the difference in the world. And the next thing that I found to be so true is that in the area of forgiveness, and forgiveness is no fun on the front end. It doesn't feel liberating. It's hard, and it feels like you're letting just the guilty party go free. But over time, you learn that to forgive someone is to take that offense or that thing they did against you, that abuse, that thing they said, that thing that they did, and you say, I'm no longer going to be a victim of that. I am free. I am released from that. It is like a weight lifted. It's awesome. In the area of your intimacy with other people, sexual intimacy, I would say sexual purity, it's such a powerful, commitment to make, because sexual purity is the pathway to sexual intimacy, to have intimacy. Exclusivity is the way to be able to have a committed long-term. If you want to fuel romance in your life, it comes through exclusivity, not through lots of experiences with lots of people. That's what you'll be told in this world. Lots of experiences, well, that's what gets you ready. Let me tell you, lots of experiences just gives you a train wreck in your heart. It makes it harder and harder to stay committed. It makes it more complicated, not less. I'm telling you, God's ways work. I know they feel old-fashioned and antiquated sometimes, but if we will commit to say, I'm going to do them. Here's the beautiful thing about looking intently into the wall, to look into it and listen to it and do it. You don't even have to fully understand it to benefit from it. The freedom that comes literally comes from the obedience of doing, not even fully understanding. It's awesome how it works, that God sets us up that way. Let me share with you the promise here at the end. Verse 25 says, but whoever looks intently into the perfect law and gives freedom and continues in it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it. Here's the promise, they will be blessed in what they do. This word blessed literally means to be fulfilled, to be happy. Do you want to be fulfilled? Do you want to be happy? He says, start doing God's word. Start living it. Take it seriously. Really begin to apply it in your life. It is powerful how it will change your life forever. Another way of putting it is the habit of doing will make you happy. It will make you fulfilled. The habit of doing. That don't just get in the habit. I'm going to do. In other words, the blessing that comes to your life will actually validate the inherent worth of the good works. Sometimes you don't see the inherent worth till later, but it's through the application that you begin to feel that blessing that comes. It's awesome. Let me just finish with a couple of statements here and a story. Growing up, I was taught just practical biblical teaching, and I want to share with you one of the statements that's kind of hung with me through the years, because I feel like your pastor has done an amazing job of teaching me about this just in his own life. Simply said, obey God and leave the consequences with him. That God always takes full responsibility for the life wholly devoted to him. I have seen your pastor over and over live this out in his own life. All the way back 25 years ago, when he and I used to carpool together from Dallas to Fort Worth, going to seminary together. One day we were coming back and we went by the little apartment where he and Jessica were living. This was before Mason was born. They had no kids at all. We didn't have any kids, and we were getting ready to go have some lunch or something. We went into the apartment, came out of the apartment, and there was this girl standing there next to her car, just a couple of cars away from us in the parking lot, and we realized she's got a flat. And Bill, and like, we're hungry, getting ready to go to lunch, and Bill goes, hey, I think we need to fix that girl's flat. I'm like, Bill, I'm hungry, man. Let's go. No, anyway, I'm trying to be spiritual, like, yeah, absolutely, we should probably do that, you know. And so we go over, and I want to just be honest with you. I try not to, you know, be judgmental about the way people look, but this girl looks scary. She was a scary-looking girl. Okay, anyway, so we go over to not real welcoming, right? And so we walk over there, and Bill's like, hey, can we fix your flat? She's like, all right, you know, almost like, I'll let you fix my flat. Anyway, and so as he's fixing the flat, I realized on the back of her car bumper, there was all kinds of kind of obscene bumper stickers. One of them said, I hate Christians, real big, like that right there. And Bill, he was notorious back then for that. He wore like this big like Christian t-shirt that said like radically saved on it. So funny. Here's Pastor Bill down there fixing her flat with the I hate Christians on it. And I just thought, what a beautiful picture right here. You just obey God and leave the results with him. Now, I don't know if that girl ever became a Christian or not, but if she didn't, it wasn't Bill's fault, okay? He went out of his way to show her love and to show her kindness and to bring help to her point of need. Look around you and see where those opportunities might be for you today. And prepare yourself, because whatever that is, it's going to prepare you for what's next. And let me just ask you a couple of quick questions. What is it that you're doing today that you shouldn't do? But you tell yourself, oh, I won't do that then. What is that thing that you do today that you shouldn't do, but you tell yourself, oh, I'm not going to do that when I get in this next season? And what are those things today that you don't do that you ought to do, that you tell yourself, no, I'll start doing that later? Can I just be real honest with you and use the words of James? If you believe that, you are deceived. You're believing a lie. That's not how it works, sweetheart, brother. Let me just tell you, you need to start today, right now. Don't put it off another 24-hour period. Commit to God. Whatever that thing is He's put on your heart and you've been delaying, it's time to move out. Trust Him. What do you need to start doing today? What do you need to stop doing today? Would you bow with me in prayer? Lord Jesus, we come before you right now, and we just thank you for your love. I pray, God, all across this room right now, for every person here that knows, Lord, that there is something you've been prompting their heart to do, that it is not the listening, it's the doing that prepares us for what's next. It's not just the looking, it's the responding and the applying that prepares us for what's next. I pray, God, that all across this room right now, that every person here, they would say, yes, there's something I need to do that I haven't done. There's something I need to stop doing that I haven't stopped. And I'm going to commit right now. I'm going to take it seriously. Things are going to change starting right now. I would love to pray for you. If that is you today, would you just boldly, as an act of faith, raise your hand right now so I can pray for you? And you're saying, yeah, it's time for a change. God, thank you for the hands going up all across this room right now. I pray, God, for strength, for faith, for courage, God, to live out what you're putting on their heart. They already know the truth. It's time to apply it. But God, as they hear it throughout this year, that you would help them to continue to apply it, continue to make adjustments, continue to align their life, their behavior with your word. Help me, help all of us to do this together. You may lower your hands. And for those here in the room right now in this moment of prayer who would honestly say, I really believe the next thing I need to do is ask Jesus Christ into my life. And this is for those of you who have never responded in faith to Jesus. You've never said yes to the salvation gift that Jesus offers to you. And right now, right where you sit, for the very first time, you're going to say, Jesus, I'm asking you to forgive my sin, all of it. Cleanse me from all unrighteousness. Ask Him to forgive your sin. And secondly, ask Him to be the Lord, the leader of your life. Jesus, not only forgive my sin, but be the leader over every part of my life. Be my forgiver, be my leader. And if you're asking Jesus Christ to be your forgiver and leader for the very first time, would you just boldly, as an act of faith, lift your hand right now all across this room? God bless you. Lord, I pray for every person right now that is giving their life to you, trusting you for the very first time. I pray, God, that this 2019 would be an amazing year of spiritual growth for them. And Lord, we just thank you so much for your love. Thank you so much for your promises to us. May we take them and apply them this year like never before. We pray it all in the amazing name of Jesus. And everybody said, amen. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.